Welcome back to Equity TV. I'm Francis Mayer, and I want to tell you a little bit about what we do here on Equity TV. We share success stories, and we give tips and tricks for navigating the waters of higher education. Why? Because at BC, we've seen people improve their lives in many different ways. Some folks leave us and they head on to get a 4-year degree, a master's degree, or even a PhD or a JD. But some folks come to BC just for a semester, and they pick up a critical skill that they can take back to their workplace and increase their importance and hopefully their wages and their quality of life. But all of that needs to be paid for, either out of your pocket or with the help of the folks in financial aid. Now, the control comes in with how you spend that money. So, you know a little bit about this because you deal with students quite a bit. You see folks who get money, correct?
Yes.
And what is your name?
Vanessa Reyes.
And Ms. Reyes, what do you do at Bakersfield College?
I'm a financial aid technician, and I handle a portion of the direct loan program.
Okay, what is the direct loan program?
It's the federal student loans for students that qualify. So it's supplemental funds aside from the grants, but it does need to be repaid.
Okay, and when does it need to be repaid? Because I don't want to be nebulous about this. A grant means you don't have to pay
Free.
it back.
Right.
A loan, for those of you who don't know, it
Must be repaid.
Yes, absolutely.
So repayment, the nice thing about the direct loans is that nothing's due, I suppose, until 6 months after you graduate or if you fall below half-time enrollment. So if you don't go to school as a half-time student for more than 6 months, that's when they expect you to start repaying on that.
Okay, and it is just like any other loan. It does need to be repaid, and people are going to call you, and they're not harassing you. They're asking you to fulfill the obligation that you made when you took the money. If that's too much, don't take the money.
Right.
Because it's just going to cause everybody a lot of heartache down the road.
Yeah, and it's important to only borrow what you absolutely need. If you really only need $1,000 to get you through the rest of the school year, only borrow $1,000.
But how am I supposed to figure that out? I've never been to college before.
That's when money management comes in.
Okay.
We do try to offer some tools on our website, but some students don't know how to navigate it or where to even start. So essentially just all your expenses, write it all out, what's coming out of your pocket each semester, how many courses you're taking.
And just for pretensies.
Pretensies.
Get out your paper, friends. We'll wait. Okay, here we go. So we're going to make up our list of expenses.
Yes.
Top of the list has got to be housing.
Housing,
How are we getting by?
So were you getting by without financial aid? Did you have a part-time job?
Actually, I was living with my parents.
Okay, are they expecting you to pay rent while you're in school?
We had an awkward conversation last night. They say I'm on my own now.
Okay.
All right.
So you already know that much money is required of you every month.
$300 is what my new roommates say I have to pay.
Okay. At that point, what expenses do you have to get to school? Do you have gas money? Is it a bus pass? Are you paying someone to drive you to school?
Yeah, actually, I do have a car. It doesn't run that well, but I do have a car.
Okay.
And I pay about $25 a week for gas. So that's $100 a month.
So there's $100 more.
So now we're at $400.
Yes. And are you having to buy special, maybe you're taking an art class and there's supplies for that class.
Oh, oil paints are sick expensive.
Yes. So any extra expenses, you're going to be, just tally it all, write it all out.
But be honest with yourself.
Yes.
Don't think that you can live an ascetic existence and that you don't need to eat and that you don't need shoes and that your car's not going to need repairs.
If you know, I love going to a new movie. I want to go to a movie at least twice a month.
And it's okay to treat
yourself. And it is okay for that. But you have to account that, you know what? If I want to go to the movie every month, I need to make sure I have this much set aside. And it is entertainment.
It is. You don't need
it. So if you need to buy a few Scantrons.
Wait, and let's clarify, because I'm learning this with my children now. Mm-hmm. I need this. No, you don't need a new Nintendo DS game. Are you going to die if you don't get it?
Yes, that's what Christmas and birthdays are for.
Exactly. And we do need to redefine what treats are. A need is what you must have in order to be successful at school, because that's your job right now. If you're
your job.
If you're in a position to be taking out loans and getting financial aid, school, attending class every day, doing your homework, it is your job.
Should be number one. And if school is number one, you shouldn't care about the other things going on.
Right.
Friends want to go to a club or whatever. No, that's not for you right now.
Plus, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Okay, students? It's a little something I've used from time to time. If you're really involved in school and you're getting good grades, you can bore people with this fact, and you can remind them, oh, yeah, I would totally come out, but I have a service club obligation I have to fulfill. Pretty soon people are be begging you to come over and eat free food. Oh, he's such a hard worker. Have him over to the house. Let's hear some of his stories,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, and you're not gonna be in the position to be a mooch because you're gonna be a person in demand. You're gonna be an interesting person. Okay,
Yes.
but if you're not going to class and you're spending your money on movies and video games,
right.
you're not gonna be that interesting.
Right. And you just need to make sure that that's what's important to you right now. So what's important is getting your books, getting to school, being on time to class. That's what you're going to put up front. So if getting a student loan as outside of your grant is going to help you do that, that's when you want to look into the loans. You don't want to look into loans to go get a new tattoo,
And this is serious. You've had people ask you.
This is serious, yes, yes.
I want to get a new back
We
piece.
just want to make sure you only borrow what you need because that is something you're going to pay back with interest. So all that time you're not having to pay because you're in school, there will be interest on some portion of the loan.
So let's say, just to put this into the right context, if you're paying 10% annually on a $400 loan that you're going to pay out over 10 years, if you only pay the interest, that tattoo is going to be significantly more expensive.
Right.
40 times, it's going to be like twice as expensive over
Right.
10 years. If you take 10 years to pay off a $400 loan, ask yourself if it's worth $800.
Right.
And once you get that tattoo, no one else wants it. You can't turn it around and sell it.
Right.
And one of the things that really boggled me during college were the little things like automotive repairs and the surprises. You can't rule those out, but you can plan for them, right?
Right. You could always, because we do have some students that want to borrow the loans because they are going to transfer to a four-year school and they are scared they're going to run out of the free money, which is the grants, because there is a cutoff now for the grants.
And let's talk about that too, because that happens to our veterans also when they don't realize that they're getting 2 years of money, correct?
Right.
And you can either do that here or you can do it at UC Davis or Cal Poly or wherever you're, right?
Right. So because if you're anticipating not having funds later and you're good about saving it and not touching it.
But be honest with yourself.
Yeah, if you know you're going to pick at it. I mean, $100 every month, that's going to add up really quick.
Yes, if you're spending just $100 a month, that's $1,200 in a year.
Or you could have saved $100, and that's $1,200 in the positive.
Yes, correct. But what I'm gleaning from you is that the planning and the being honest with yourself about what it's going to take for you to get through here.
Right.
And we're also not asking you to live this way forever.
No. If it's your goal is a 2-year degree, certificate, 4-year degree, I mean, you just have to plan for that. And if that means getting a part-time job, or if you can't work part-time, that's when you want to look into those resources when you absolutely need it, not when you're doing okay. Let's get more money. Just because it's there doesn't mean you should be taking advantage of it.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at the students in our nursing program, for example, they're going to be making some pretty serious bucks right out of our program.
Right.
You are going to be eating filet mignon soon enough.
And we expect that they're going to be responsible borrowers and repay correctly.
Right, and what do you mean by that? Like, that's language, like that's fuzzy language. Because you also said something else that I think is interesting. You said, for those who qualify.
Right.
How do you qualify?
Well, when you fill out your financial aid application, at the end it'll tell you what you could potentially receive in grants as well as loans. But BC also has their own rules for the student loan program. Like having a student ed plan on file that you're following. Excuse me. 6 of the units must be BC units that are degree applicable. You must have taken the assessment test. You have to be eligible for financial aid. So even if you can't get grant money because your income's too high, you can still get student loans. You just still have to meet the satisfactory progress regulations, which is keeping those grades up. 67% passing rate of all classes you attempt with a 2.0 or better.
Okay. And is there anything else that could disqualify me from getting financial aid or student loans, like any type of, say, trouble or that kind of thing?
If you're not passing your classes. If you're suspended from all types of aid.
This is your job.
Yes.
Being a student is your job.
Yes.
100% of the time.
And if you're a financial aid student, you're already getting those classes covered through your fee waiver form. So the grants is to help you with the book expenses and anything else you need. So just be really conscious about what you want to borrow above and beyond that.
Right. I mean, because we've had students sitting where you're sitting who are in different, more difficult financial circumstances, and they're working a lot
Yeah.
in addition to taking
Right.
12, 15
Right.
units, and they look exhausted.
They do.
So if you have the benefit and the luxury, dare I say, of getting financial aid or having to take out a loan, realize that this is an investment in yourself and do your part. Go to class.
Right.
And spend
Especially
that
if
money.
mom and dad are helping out a little. Take advantage of that because some students don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be grateful. Stop and take an inventory and realize how lucky you are. And even though you like to go out to a couple new movies a month, let's face it, there is plenty of awesome stuff to do on campus. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in and reminding people that being a student is their job and that this financial aid and student loans, they're a rare thing that and a luxury. Okay?
Yeah.
Is that true or false?
I agree.
It is a huge luxury. So please make the best of it. But don't go anywhere. We have one more person who's going to come on and drive this point home about how valuable good, sound financial planning is. And as you become an adult, when you get out of school, there's never going to be a time, unless you're part of 1/10% of the people in the United States, where you're not going to need to budget. And Warren Buffett, that guy budgets. Allegedly, he's wild about it. If you don't believe me, look it up. But there's more Equity TV coming up next. Don't go anywhere.